Hi, Scott. It's Tanisha. How are you?
Good, thanks, Tanisha. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good.
When first researching Annabel's disappearance, I made it my mission to get in touch with as many people as I possibly could that may have information about her disappearance and presumed murder. The person you're about to hear, Scott, owns one of the properties that was searched by the police.
I just wanted to know really specifically, I guess, what you sort of remember about that time and if they sort of mentioned possibly like where they were looking for her remains.
He had a connection. He loved the tent hill, like the hill itself. And I think that's how he came with Carrawilly, because the tent hill was actually on Carrawilly. There was a couple of dead snakes by one of the wells or something where the police dived into looking for the remains.
What Scott's describing, Tent Hill, is a large hill on Carrawilly Station, which is approximately 25 kilometres northwest of a township called Port Augusta. Port Augusta is a small coastal city in South Australia which is about 310 kilometres by road from the state capital, Adelaide, and it's about 190 kilometres north of Clare, where Annabel lived. I've provided a map of the area which is linked for you in the show notes. Tent Hill is a prominent feature of the landscape. It's visible as you drive out of Port Augusta and can be seen as a large mark on the earth when viewing satellite imagery. I've driven past it myself and didn't even realise. The area surrounding Port Augusta is dry and the red dirt finds its way into every nook and cranny of your car. There are very few trees and it's mostly scrub. There are some birds, wildlife, like native kangaroos and other species. If you've ever driven across the Nullarbor and made the trek to Darwin or Cooper Pedy from Adelaide, you've definitely driven past the hill.
It's something to do with tent hill. That was his fascination. But I remember seeing one of the articles. It must have been an article in the early 2000s, and I recall seeing it and the photos and stuff, and it sounded more like he might have actually murdered her on a neighbouring property called Mount Arden. But even though they said it was Carrawilly, you drive out of Port Augusta and you got the big signs on the highway, Carrawilly Station, Stockton Road and that, and you get a police report like a car accident or something, and someone might say, yeah, Carrawilly, but it's not on Carrawilly. It's on the highway, but it's not technically on Carrawilly. So there's a bit of a misconception there, I guess.
Ah, so you think it might be the neighbouring property?
Yeah, well, because it sounded, from the vibe I kind of got, it happened on the eastern side of the highway, and even on the eastern side of the highway, it's not even Carrawilly, it's actually Horribera, but it's a property we bought back in 87. And I've got a funny feeling it might have happened on Mount Arden.
So you think there might have been incorrect reporting at the time?
Yes.
I've requested a statement from SA Police about the original searches, but they declined to comment. But from what Scott says here, he seems to think that the SA Police conducted searches at Tent Hill as well as the eastern side of Carrawilly Station. He also seems to think it might have something to do with a neighbouring property called Mount Arden, which is directly over the Sturt Highway, which is the main highway one would drive through if heading north.
Do you happen to remember, like, have they visited in the past sort of 10, 15, 20 years at all?
No, like I said, when they came out, what if it had been, was it either the early 2000s or was it 98 when police came out and they did a search? Might have been early 2000s, and they came out on the Corribera side, so I might have just been home out of school, and that's when my grandfather said there was a couple of dead snakes by one of the wells. I reckon it was Mosey's well. He said obviously they dived down into it. That's all they found, and a person working at the time, he reckoned there was a hole by a dam, and he thought it was quite deep. And he told his kids to stay away, and then one day he went there and reckoned it was filled in. That was getting pretty close to the tent hill, but if that ever came, if anything with all the information was passed back to police or not, I've got no idea. I do remember McCarthy mentioning that. Tent hill, I've climbed it, we can climb it, but there's just a few people every now and again might ring me or ask me to go climb it. But as a backdrop, I think that's more the significance to it. As from what I kind of gathered in one of the articles I remember reading in the paper, like it was, like he said, I can't remember who wrote the article, so basically the connection was going up there and just loved the tent hill itself, like just the iconic big table and top hill, I guess.
Because I'm just looking at the map at the moment, and you sort of just mentioned that you think it also might potentially be on the other side of the highway, on the eastern side?
Right.
Okay.
That's the vibe I kind of got was, where they pulled the snakes out of the well, I remember that was on the eastern side of the highway.
Okay. Okay, so
Yeah, because I reckon the police, it must have done the article, must be 99 or early 2000, and when he committed suicide, I think they sort of felt like, well, there's no point. I think they sort of closed the case on it for a bit, like they didn't follow it up. They said, well, he's dead, and there was no satisfaction or no need to coming back up here and trying to investigate.
so they haven't got in touch with you at all in any way, shape or form in the past sort of 15,
I
20?
think no. Like I said, I'm 90% sure, unless I spoke to Dad, but I'd have to ask Dad, but I'm pretty sure the last time there was any article or any information on it was when he was still alive in prison, and I heard he committed suicide or he died, and they never, and I think that never made back since. Okay, like you said, someone found human remains or something in that area, or that was the person, or that's where it happened. You might feel a bit of it. Something a bit towards that paddock or whatever, or that area when you're out mustering or something. But and like I said, not knowing exactly where it happened and did it happen up here, it's like, well, I don't think they ever dived any dams. Like I said, I know they dived at least 2 wells on our property.
Okay.
There is another old well by a set of sheep yards, disused the salt water. I don't know if that had any recollection, but like I said, from all the vibe I kind of got, it was on the eastern side of the highway, and the icon was overlooking that big tent hill.